Alright, so today we're going to be going over how to fertilize your pothos plant or your devil's ivy. I'm going to be showing you how to do it as well as just the basics for fertilization, so you kind of know more of what's going on. So some fertilization basics. First and foremost, only fertilize healthy plants. If you are trying to save your little plant friend, I'm sorry, please don't try and fertilize it. It just adds stress and can actually kill it. Secondly, spring is generally the best time to fertilize. It's when a plant is in its active growth stage because it's getting more sunlight and it's ready to start growing and take in that fertilizer. Next, it's really important to realize that if your plant is in a really shaded area in your house, that the metabolism of your plant is pretty slow. So if it's in a high light situation, maybe be generous more with your fertilizer. But if it's sitting in your bathroom with no windows, it definitely doesn't need that much fertilizer, if any at all. And just as a note, in general, less is always more with fertilization. You don't want to be killing your plant or harming it, so it's best to go on the more conservative side than it is to be super generous and cause more problems for it. So I'm using Jack's all-purpose fertilizer for this pothos plant. Those three numbers you see there, the 20-20-20, represent the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in that order that are found in a fertilizer. They're found on every box of fertilizer, and we're going to go quickly over what exactly they do and what they mean for the plant. First number is nitrogen, which basically controls the greenness of your plant. The second number is phosphorus. That helps with the roots, the buds, the flowers. So if your plant can flower, this is very helpful for it. And lastly is potassium, which helps with the vigor and regulating stomatas or the pores on your plant's leaves. Okay, so enough science chit chat. Let's get down to actually fertilizing the plant. Right now I'm just washing a bucket. I'm going to be putting all my water in here because I have a few plants to do. You can use a spray bottle or whatever, but I do recommend washing it before and after to avoid any sort of contamination messing with your plants. And here I'm filling up this thing with water. All I can say is that just make sure to get the measurements right, because like I said earlier, you don't want to be adding too much fertilizer and causing fertilization burn on your plant. So it's important to make sure you're using the right amount of water and fertilizer. So like I said earlier, less is always more. I added 8 cups of water to my bucket, and I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon or an 1/8 teaspoon. What is that? A 1/4 teaspoon, there it is, to my bucket of water. So I'm kind of just trying to get it, honestly, I tried to get less than what was asked for because I was just really nervous about hurting my plants. If you are wondering what it looks like when you have used too much fertilizer, you will have brown tips on your plant. So the leaves will start to turn brown on the tips, and you can also notice that there might be some buildup in your soil, kind of like this white crust that builds on. And how to help this if you have done that, simply just flush out the plant soil with a lot of water to kind of get rid of that excess fertilizer. So it's not the end of the world if you do use too much, but always just be careful. Alright, so when you're actually adding the fertilizer to the plant, just make sure to get around on all sides, thoroughly soak that soil so that it gets down to all those roots. In just a second, you'll see how some water started to drip out, which is good. That means I know the entirety of the soil is soaked and it got to those bottom roots. And like I said earlier, if you're noticing any tip burn or any buildup of fertilizer on the crust of your soil, then just simply flush out the soil with a lot of water to get rid of that. And there you go, you are done fertilizing your pothos plant. You should hopefully notice some increased vigor in your plant, some increased growth. Let me know how this goes for you. I do recommend doing this bi-weekly, spring through summer. If you forget a couple weeks, it's fine, it's not a big deal. But yeah, let me know how it went for you. Consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching my video.